So are we truly moral as we profess to be, or we're just burying our heads in the sand and pretending as the proverbial ostriches? I think by account 750,000 is too much. But I have with me, obviously, the Director for Ghana Health Service. So we will talk about this and probably do a moral education and a health education, all of that. But I think all parents watching, you should be alarmed on this. Doc, thank you very much for coming again.
Thank you very much.
You know, I mean, once I get you, and I know that your course is good, so I'll always be at your door knocking, and I'm glad that you always make the time. But, you know, when I saw this figure, I thought that, no, maybe 7,500, and that there was a mistake. I mean, 750 is close to 1 million.
Yeah.
And have we included maybe the villages where they might have given home birth, or these were the ones that were recorded?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm not quite sure where you got your
well,
figures.
Well, Ghana
yes.
Health Service report, actually. Yeah.
I must say that it's actually gone down over the years. Some years ago, all pregnancies, 20% were actually teenagers. All the pregnancies. Now it's reduced to 12%. I must say that we have certain spots where they are still high, especially the coastal areas and certain places.
It says that the western region of Ghana, I think, recorded some of the highest of 14,000 or so, you know, so they recorded the highest. The coastal areas seem to...
Yes, and in the villages, the rural areas. And we have a reason for that.
Okay.
The reason is that quite a number of them are not actually attending school. And so if the government is going to put up a lot of institutions, then that is in order. And a lot of them are also not developed. You don't have electricity around, so in the evenings it's like there isn't much to do. People retire to the dark corners of the villages and they do their own thing. And sometimes the only entertainment is funerals, and the funerals they play the music maybe deep into the night. And so these are all contributory factors. But I must say that the social, the cultural setup which we used to know in some areas like Somanya area, we had a depot, and then in the Atani area, I have the Bragro and so forth. And nowadays, quite a number of them are actually not happening because of education or religious beliefs and so forth. And I believe that we need to put it in a different way, in the modern terms. Because at least we have our cultural leaders, they are around, our chiefs are around, and we have the youth leaders who are recognized, and we have the health facilities. So we could blend the two. So it's a responsibility for the politician, for the traditional leader, for the religious leader, for parents, and in fact for all of us. And I think it's good that we are talking about it.
But you see, with the education, the researchers will find out that those out of school obviously fall more victim than those in school.
Yeah.
Can we do, maybe because we can't build schools for everybody to go to school, can we find a way of, I don't know, educating or giving the information to those who don't find themselves in school?
Yes, you know, when I was in the Eastern region, we met, all the department heads, we met, and we're looking at some of the MDGs, Millennium Development Goals, the indicators. And we realized that in school, when they enter school and they fall out, health takes over. And health will take them through pregnancy, delivery. After that, there's no handing over to either school or to somebody. So we realized that there was a missing link somewhere. As soon as they become pregnant, the social welfare had to come in. And the social welfare should monitor, first, because if you're a teenager and become pregnant, you face a lot of things. Either the gentleman or whoever made you pregnant will refuse to accept it, and your parents will be mad at you, and your mates in school will also be laughing at you. You'll be so dejected. So somebody else, a department, has to take over and ensure that you actually go through the education processes, and after that, through the pregnancy, and after that you go back to school. Otherwise, quite a number of them, they fall out early, and then they come back again with a second pregnancy. Wow. So there's always a missing link. So society has to make it in such a way that we need to put in a system where these people are followed. That is the reason why now the Ghana Health Service, the concept, want to ensure that now every area, electoral area, we assign people and they will register everybody from children, pregnant women, the elderly, and then follow them up and then link them to the next level. So every time there's something happening to you, somebody is in a position to support you. That support system is not there. We leave the children to play around, go to school. If somebody doesn't go to school, it's compulsory. In Ghana, is it education is compulsory?
Yeah, it's compulsory.
Yeah, but who enforces that? Yeah. So society should ensure that at least in my jurisdiction, everybody goes to school. And if they are going to school, then they're taken care of. There's some education of some sort in the school. And for that matter, they are being followed. If there's any problem, we have to sit down and solve it. At the same time, you go to the religious groups, there should be some education in there. You listen to scriptures, and somebody follows you up. Always make a counseling, you're ensuring that you do the right thing. If you become pregnant, somebody has to ensure that at least you receive the necessary care until maybe you deliver and then you continue with whatever you want to do.
Doc, let me take you back to the support. I mean, if you look at our numbers now, how much support would you get to, supervise nearly 1 million pregnant teenagers? I mean, you would need a big support base to be following them about, to keep an eye. How do we manage that?
Unless you're looking at somebody who is supporting, but it's all of us. Everybody comes from a family.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's your father, that's your mother. They are the first places to ensure that you pass through the the teenage group successfully. So these people are mentoring you. So if you become pregnant, they are the same people who are to ensure that you see a midwife who will take you through the teenage pregnancy, the pregnancy period to delivery. And they're the same people who have to ensure that they put you back to school. So they can't even do that. The health worker should be able to do that. You bring the teenager to us, they will take care of you. While in the Western region, we used to have, I think we still have the teenage school, pregnancy school. And then they segregate them, teenagers, and then
so there was no
other
stigma.
ages. Yes. So you come together, you are educated, they build some confidence in you until you deliver. So otherwise, you stand a chance of getting depression. So you are empowered that way. And after that, we follow you up. Ensure that you come for postnatal, you come for child welfare clinic until maybe you either go to school or you maybe you get into some trade. But that's where the health workers will miss you. Because we don't formally go back and hand you over to an education service. Neither do we go and hand you over to a social welfare officer or to traditional leader or something like that. Another group that can also follow up, the community itself, the traditional leadership. Every community, well, I'm not quite sure about that, but they have queen mothers.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And if one of their rules is to ensure that people are productive and healthy. They oversee all the women group, women or children, youth in a place. They ensure that they go to school and they ensure that you have health support. So if you become pregnant, they need to show interest. Actually, there are some 5 things that we want all traditional people to do, traditional council. First, they ensure that there is a health worker or a health facility or health system within their jurisdiction. And somebody is there they can recognize this, and there's a midwife. They ensure that they engage their people, their youth, with you. So the fact that you have facility doesn't mean that people will come to you or you will be of benefit to them. So they need to engage you with them. We want to ensure they visit the facility to show their commitment. I want to ensure they make transport arrangement for emergency transportation. And I want to ensure that there is a community forum where regularly you brief the community as to what you are doing, the results, how many children are immunized in the pregnancy and so forth. And if possible, there should be an award during festival to recognize what you are doing or what the youth are doing or what people are doing. If they did that, then the youth will feel supported. Nobody will go wayward. So that community part is very important. Then the political leadership. In every community, we have an assembly member.
Yeah.
That's their job. And you see, the assembly members, sometimes I see them trying to get, they think that the only thing they're supposed to do is to get resources from government and bring to the people. But their primary duty is to mobilize the people, identify the problems in the area, and ensure that the people themselves contribute to the solution. If the place is not safe in terms of security, people are stealing around, it's for assemblymen to bring the community together to agree on neighborhood watch dog, or whatever they call them, and it's for people to contribute to pay such people so the place is safe. If there's no school, sometimes they come in together, they can even build a school. If you don't have any health facility, it's for you to then move up to the health facilities, the health district director or whoever, tell them that we don't have this. So can you come and look at our place and see how you can support us? So if sanitation is a problem, the people themselves can be mobilized to clean the place up. So the political leadership is also very important. And of course, from the assembly member, you go to the district assembly and then the region. So if you see that the support structures are huge, there are many.
We just need to use them.
Yes, only that we are not using them.
The other thing I was going to say was, how about, because it means there's a big failure in parenting. Huge.
Yes.
Huge responsibility, goes to parenting. I don't even think, So should we then have a separate program for, parenting? I don't even think that's going to be a matter of health, but, have a program for parenting. Look, you must know where a 9-year-old is at any given minute. Because why is a 9-year-old going to get pregnant? Unless he or she was raped. But you can't say that he's gone to a funeral and came back pregnant. So how do we target the parents?
I'm happy about that. The parents, a lot of them go to either church or they go to the mosque or they belong to in some group. And I believe that it's now time for us to talk about that. If you are in a religious organization or a church, they have various groups. They have women leaders, women's group, they have the youth group, they have the men's group, they have other groups. And the agenda for their meeting should be this one should be part of it. First, you are educating some people, enlightening your children in the fear of God. That's one thing. The fear of God includes your body. Your body is the sanctuary of God. So you are making the children aware of this. But because you don't know the body mechanism, anatomy, physiology, or whatever, you get somebody who can handle that. Because culturally too, we don't actually engage our children. I think Ghana, we are not good at that. You have to engage somebody else because we don't often talk to our children about sexuality. And if they are watching television and then there is something that may be discovered as obscene, then you shut the thing out. In any case, when they go to their peers, they'll be watching.
Even worse than that.
Yes. So we don't do that. So it's now time for us to talk about that. We need to start loving our children more. And by loving means that you've sworn to your God that this child giving me or the person within my home, I'm going to take care of this person education-wise, and make sure this person God-fearing, and make sure this person understands the society. It's only you that you can expose to the people that, look, in the dark, if you walk in the dark, it's dangerous. Because, and then you narrate some experiences that you've gone through yourself or somebody else has gone through. But that is what we don't do. So I think the various groups or organizations in the community should start taking up. Religious organizations, even if it's the workers group, professional association, they have to be discussing those things. How do we ensure that our profession or the work that we do does do not actually negatively affect our children? Sometimes people work so much that they don't even know where their children are. They come, they go early in the morning, late in the night, and they come back. Where are the children? The groups, when they meet to discuss, it should not be always business, business, business. They should also be discussing what is happening at home. They should be encouraging themselves that, look, have time for your children. Whilst they are also talking about maybe religious activities. You know, I've been for a course somewhere, and we were made to draw a circle, 2 concentric circles, and then we had to draw a line where you got into from the center in terms of your social relationship, in terms of your professional, what do you call it, upliftment, in terms of your religious, in terms of, I mean, they just want to see that you are all around rather than just focusing on only one area. And I think that's what we need to be doing.
So that you become aware.
Yes, become aware.
The other thing, Doctor, is are we telling Ghanaians the hard truth in this teenage pregnancy thing, or because it's got the, obviously because she's pregnant, she had sex, so must as well not talk about it too much? Are we telling people the hard truth?
I think we are telling the hard truth. It's only that we're not finding a proper way of making sure they become responsible.
See, because most people that I've mentioned to about this thinking, are you sure? You know, most people, and even some of my colleagues are, where is it? You know, and I have to forward the report to them. Are you really sure? Maybe it's a mistake. So I think the truth is not out there. And if you're saying 750,000 is a reduction, so what, last 2 years there was 1 million or more?
No, it's a number actually I'm not quite too sure about. Because deliveries itself is about getting to 1 million. We have about 1 million deliveries every year. In other words, it means that it's possible 1 million people become pregnant every year. That's why every month you can have that one. I may be wrong. But then the facts are that it's a huge number, and we need to talk about that. And if you have your youth becoming pregnant, it's very disruptive. First, they become dependent. If somebody become dependent upon them, they themselves they are dependent on somebody else. Yes, and so now somebody become dependent on you, and so it means that your productivity is curtailed. You cannot become productive. You see, if you had waited to go maybe beyond 20 years, you can engage yourself, you can work. I mean, that one is fine. But if it's that early, so it means as a nation, we are not becoming productive. Secondly, our dependency ratio increases. And for that matter, the few people who are strong are taking care of the majority. That's why the National Health Insurance under 18 was pledged at 50%. Of the population. I'm sure it will be more. Other countries, it will not be 50%, because the cohort that are born, you look at the population pyramid, the same group go, they grow up together. But in Africa, it's like a pyramid. It's a very sharp one, with a broad base and then flattened. I mean, it goes tapering end. If you look at how many people are maybe beyond 65 years, only a few of them. Japan is a huge number. Even though they also have problems with that. Yeah, but then we need to change. Our transition is actually too slow.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, the chances of these offspring from a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old, what future has that baby got? Stay tuned. Reducing maternal and child mortality, and I'm talking to Dr. Ebenezer Appiah-Denchira, Director General of Ghana Health Services. Now, there's him trying to reduce mortality rate, and there's our teenagers also uneducated and bringing forth babies. How are we capturing this group to make sure they don't fall victim, Doctor?
Well, I think we need to change sometimes the way we handle these children. If people cannot go to the formal classroom education, going to sit in the classroom maybe for 6 years, and then going to the SSS, then we might as well bring the education to them. We changed the style. I remember somebody was telling me about the North, the children who've been following the cattle. An idea came that, look, could we have evening classes for them? They support their parents all right, but then they come back and then they learn, they study. And I know somebody who became a medical assistant, a physician assistant, just through that kind of classes. So we can change.
It's a more relaxing atmosphere.
Yes.
Because the classroom can be intimidating,
yes.
you know, especially if you don't believe in yourself.
Yes. And I think we're also not hammering on our strengths. If we have art and craft, which we can do best as a country in this world, and then we can build education, we find fashion education around it. I mean, the formal education may not necessarily be good for everybody. You can make it functional literacy. I like that functional literacy thing that we used to have in the past. You may be a farmer, but then you come for classes from time to time, and they teach you something on politics, something on hygiene, health, something on agriculture, anything.
Broaden your knowledge.
Broaden your knowledge. They help you even how to use the ICT, the paparazzi and all those things, how to source for support anyway. And those are the kind of things that we need to look at. Instead of the formal mathematics and English and science, if you don't pass, you can't move forward. We have to find a way of making people more productive, the way we want them to be productive. I think if we explore those avenues, it will help us. And if people cannot even go to the university, we have to find a way of bringing the university, the courses to them by e-health and e-learning and so forth, distant learning, and even sometimes even making it a sandwich. Instead of they going to a place, the teacher can come and have classes with them, can text the class, the messages to them. So I believe we can be very innovative in a lot of things.
From what I get, we really need to break out of the status quo and start reaching out, because we are losing a lot of people through this system.
Yes.
You know, I know, you know, Ghana has done very well in reducing our numbers in terms of how many babies and mothers, but the worry is until we get to the system where education starts bringing teachers to the communities and stuff like that, is there a program to capture this lot by the coastal area to make sure, you know, they give a safe delivery or not even get pregnant in the first place? Is there a program for them?
Yeah, we have a program, the Adolescent Health Program, and that one is identifying the where they are. I mean, the target group, and then the secondary target group, that's the community leaders. So if you get to know the community leaders, they will know where the people are. And we say, well, through your own system, can you bring them together to be educated? And so that is what we are doing, and that's what we're using the Queen Mothers. The Queen Mothers are very helpful for us in doing that. And then we're also using the school health scheme. In every school, there's a school teacher who acts as a school health coordinator. And what they do is that they bring them together and make sure that they are taking through the necessary classes, everything that they need to know. So we are working through that. For those in the villages where we can't reach them are those who are actually not going to school right from the beginning. They just stay at home, and sometimes you are not able to reach them. But our strategy is now to make sure that we get people in the community and then train them as volunteers who will be helping the community awareness that we're going to place in the communities. So we're trying to find a way of reaching to them.
Doctor, some parents do not want their sex to hear, their wards to hear sex education. Don't tell my son how to use a condom, or don't tell my daughter, you know, how to use any family planning pill because I am a Christian or I'm a Muslim. She's only 15 or she's only 14, so she's not ready yet. Don't talk to her about that. How are we dealing with these things? Because we're living in denial, obviously.
Yeah.
So how are we trying to overcome these things?
Yeah, it's the parents actually now we need to tackle. We haven't got a program that is directed at parents, but I believe that we could. use the various organizational bodies, like the faith-based organizations. For them, they're always there. The parents go to church, they go to the mosque, they go anywhere. And these are the people who have to be told that, look, you can't live in an island in this world. The moment you go out, there will be some TV showing somewhere, and then you watch, and there are certain things on it. You move in the world, you meet your own peers, and then the moment you discuss things, you find that they are knowledgeable in certain things that you are not. And that is the reason why the parents has to be like a prophet to your own children, telling them about the future, what is likely to come to you. And I think that's the education we need to do. Because, like you said, I mean, if we are living in denial, then we are not going to achieve anything.
The other thing is, you know, the parents themselves never abstained.
Yeah.
They went through the same adolescence and the same challenges. At what point do we switch and start denying that, oh, it doesn't happen? Because, you know, probably at his, you know, or her age at that time, they were also doing the same thing, or new friends who were doing the same thing. So at what point do we then switch and say, oh, no, you know, it never happens? I wonder.
Well, I think right from the onset, childhood, because in class 1, class 2, class 3 primary schools, you learn English, math, science.
No, I'm talking about parents who say, don't teach my child, you know, sex education. Even though that parent at the time was doing the same thing, suddenly as soon as you have a child, you assume that, no, my child is holier than thou, probably not doing what I was doing. And I'm just wondering, why do we switch? Is it overprotection, or have we suddenly forgotten that at that age we were doing the same thing?
Yeah, it's just counseling. When people marry, personally, I think the areas of counseling we need to look at. You are taught how to live with your partner, but we don't delve into how to handle your babies, how to handle your child who are growing, how to handle the adolescent, and especially the adolescent. So sometimes they can be boisterous, and then they fight with their parents, and you call them, oh, they are troublesome or rude. It's because the parents lack that skill of bringing the child up, and that is what we need now. So we appealing to the various bodies where they meet, any professional group, any faith-based organization. Let's teach our people how to handle those below them. That is the problem. You may not know. I mean, nobody teaches you parenthood. I mean, you just get married. You are counseled on how to stay with your partner, but you are not counseled on how to bring your children up. Unless we factor it in the various associations, if a market women association, where you meet, you factor that aspect in. We now start looking at beyond the profession and go to other things, because if you are well pleased, you have a peace of mind, then you can be a good worker. But if you are not, so I realized that in some of the departments, they start doing that. They even come tell people pension, going on pension, they take them through. They take them on adolescent parenthood. Some facilities have even got crutches in their facilities. Some have got, what do you call it? Some have extended even the maternity leave sometimes. So there are some organizations that are looking at that. So they are not just looking at what you're going to produce for the organization, but they're also looking at your total well-being. I think it's something that we need to consider, and I believe that the ministries of gender, when we come in, gender and children, social protection, yes, youth employment, health, education, the other groups, when we come together, I think we'll be able to handle those things.
I mean, reducing maternal and child mortality. Now here we are where our victims are poor, uneducated, and very rural. Now that must be a huge challenge for what you're trying to achieve.
But we can achieve it. Yeah, we can achieve it, because wherever they are is in Ghana. We know where they are. They are in towns, they are in sections of towns, they are within families, they are in some homes. So we know where they are. And they go to school, they go to market, they go to church, they go to social gatherings. So we meet them every time. So it's not that they are hidden somewhere. It's only that the people we are interacting with should be educated and be conscious of what is lurking in the dark, for which we need to bring it out and then talk about them. So I think we can solve the problem.
Was it last week that you were doing the integrated community management?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and has it factored this into it?
Yes. What integrated community management of childhood ailments? Within every community, we're identifying agents, the community members, residents in the community, and then teaching them about health issues, sanitation, teaching them about regenerative health, what people should eat. It's not just farm anything, what they should eat. And we are teaching them about what causes disease, sanitation, how to prevent work around it. And then teaching them how to treat the basic, the commonest diseases, malaria, diarrhea, and pneumonia. So if these people have the knowledge and they're in the committee and then they will be heard, then things will go down. They will change the culture. If the culture is that of maybe early pregnancy or maybe giving some child to an elderly person in marriage, and these people are there and they are part of the community, then certainly these things will change. So the formal, the functional, I mean the informal way of teaching is very important.
The other thing, and I was going to ask earlier, but you just mentioned, which brought me, you know, this statistics that we got. Is it because maybe some communities generally marry younger and we've captured them as teenage pregnancy? Because as soon as you say teenage pregnancy, the first thing is that, oh, a problem child has gotten pregnant or was raped or wasn't ready. Or, I mean, was there a huge majority in there that belong to a community that seems to start life on an earlier age, even though they are teenagers? I mean, how do we classify?
Actually, we have some cultures actually doing that. The moment you come out of the 10 years, 11, 12, then they give you a marriage. But the whole idea is that sometimes it's not so much of a marriage. It's just to ensure that you have somebody who is protecting, taking care of you to the appropriate time that they marry you. That is what happens to be. But then there is a cut-off point. Where should a person become, when do you have a sexual relationship with that person? At what age? Is 15, 18 years, that kind of thing. So the moment people are educated on the medical consequences, the problems associated with teenage pregnancy, they understand. The younger the person, the more difficult it is for delivery. Because then the baby is big, and then the lower part is small, so you have obstructed liver. And sometimes it has to end up in cesarean section. It may have complications, vaginal fistula, but sometimes the baby dies, and you yourself, it's a problem until you tell your health-wise, anemic, and so on and so forth. So when people understand that, look, if medically it's not good, they themselves will sustain themselves. It's only that we've not done a lot of education, and that is what we need to seriously do. And that's why we are training the community members themselves to do that education. Because you need to know the hazards of a child becoming pregnant.
Which is very important.
Which is very important.
That's the scary part, which I think is not out.
Yes.
And the rate of abortions too.
Yeah.
And I think that the gruesome fact is not out there. No. And I don't know whose responsibility it is to really put it out. You know, I had stories, I don't think I can show it, but of a girl inserting some wood so that, you know, she bleeds so that she's, you know, she doesn't become pregnant. And there's a school, and one of the students is an abortion contractor. So you go to her, she gives you concoction to drink, and you sit on this bucket, and then you bleed. And I mean, this is the gruesome story out there. And if this were the number of, you know, pregnancies recorded, I'm sure a quarter of this, you know, might have gone through.
Sure.
So how do we put this gruesome story out for people to be more careful of their words?
We have to put it in the schools. That's what we're trying to do, because we have compulsory education in this country. And the moment you put in a subject like science, well, it's the only thing that the science we teach is we give you the facts, but it has to come with passion. It has to be, it's like a counseling sort of, so that people know the facts, and then they also are encouraged not to go into the areas which will bring them problem. So I think that is where it's lacking. Otherwise, when you do science in the primary schools and so forth, you will learn quite a number of these things. And recently, there's a book has been published about adolescents, and it's talking about menstruation. Because quite a number of people, it takes them by surprise. And you wonder, you have a relative who has gone through the same thing. Why were you not advised on the same thing? Because there's a cultural barrier, some form of shyness around talking around it. So now we're trying to make aware that it should either be, you should be taught in the school. If you get everybody into school and they are taught general science and they go through it, I think it will be quite, it will reduce. The next is the religious organizations. To me, I believe that they could also help. About 85%, according to the census, either are Christians or Muslims. So supposing this group go to the place of worship and they are taught this, how to handle themselves. You are just warning them about the evil around. And then you tell them that, look, this one, you're supposed to abstain. But these are certain edges that you cannot stand. And so any move of the opposite sex in this direction means this. But then contact your midwife, who will give you more education on that. I think that is in order. But that is what we are not doing. We need to bring them up. If you allow people, well, you give them the facts and you ensure that they do not go into temptation or be taken by events.
I'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll find out if your church are doing, because the religious bodies seem to be very, very much also against, sex education. Stay tuned. Just before we went on the break, we're just trying to find out, probably we have to educate the religious bodies so that they also educate the congregation. I don't know if we can capture them.
Yeah, that's very important. They need to do that. All members of your church should know, maybe church or mosque, they should know about themselves. And they should know as much as they are worshiping God, they're trying to know act of living righteous. They should also be conscious of their biological edges. As you grow up, these ones, it comes to you naturally, biological edge, and you may not be able to master it. For example, you may be able to bath in the open, when you are less than 9 years old. But as you go 10, 11, 12, you can't do that. And certain things change within you. And somebody has to instruct you about that. Now, these are the changes that are occurring in you. You will start admiring the opposite sex, even though you used to be bathing together. At some age, you need to change, because this is what is happening within you and within that person. Somebody has to educate you on that. And somebody has to educate you on the mechanisms that others use, especially older persons use in getting you. They may send you and then come bring into my room, or maybe they will try to corner you within maybe darkness or something else. People have to be taught about that. And that is the reason why I believe that every group, the religious bodies, should make sure that their people, as much as they are teaching them the word of God, they should also add this one to it. In fact, they should even add, when you come out of age, even how to make business. Do business, make money, and then take care of your properties. They should teach them how to bring forth children. What do you call it? How to, take care of the children in terms of raising them up, upbringing. All this, they need to be taught. But sometimes we assume that people will naturally find out, and that's not the way to go in this world.
The other thing I find amusing is that the men always go free. The girl will be chucked out of the school. The guy or the teacher who did it can stay. And the education, or let's talk to the women. So how are we also telling the men to keep their zippers up? Or we seem to just focus on the woman in terms of blame, education, everything. But the men, is there any provision for the men too?
Yes, now we started the meeting men. You know, some time back when we talk about family plan, then we are talking about ladies. And I realized that no, it's the men that made the decision. So they are the people we have to sit down with and then make sure they become responsible. And that one has started. But for me, we've lost something. I mean, if a child becomes pregnant, we have to fish out and find out who made the person pregnant and ensure that this person, maybe the social welfare, you take care of this person throughout the pregnancy and even beyond. Those things have to be made real. Now what's happening is that it's only the child who may be dejected and insulted and that kind of stuff. But then we don't need to do that. At that stage, they need encouragement. If somebody makes a mistake and become pregnant, that time there's no condemnation. It's rather encouragement. But sometimes because of condemnation, they become depressed and they're able to do certain things that they wouldn't have done. If you go in for abortion, abortion itself is dangerous. I advise that you keep the baby, encourage this person, let him be confident. But after the birth, now let's encourage this person now take up, continue the education. If it's vocation, teach the person to come out skillful. I mean, it's not the end of the world. But sometimes it's always condemnation. But I agree. I mean, the men, we have to tackle more of the men and then find how they can also encourage their, restrain themselves.
Get used to condoms if you're not going to abstain. You know. And funding-wise for the integrated community case management, funding-wise, because it all boils down to money. And if you're going to need people in all the corners, then you need more money and how to get the money to them. So how is government working with you? How is this going to happen?
Well, actually, there are a lot of partners who are interested in the community support. Because in Ghana, that's actually what we need. If the committee members are able to take care of themselves in terms of health, in terms of productivity, then Ghana will move very far. Yes, and so a lot of health partners are coming in there. But I believe that we can even help ourselves. I mean, after all, in a community, all that I'm teaching you as health worker is that sanitation, this is how to keep the environment clean. And then you can do it yourself because in the past they've been doing it, sanitation campaigns and so forth. All that is being added is that this is how to treat malaria, diarrhea, and pneumonia. In the past, we would have gone to the backyard and got some leaves and then used it. But this time, it's been packaged into medicines. And now these medicines, a health worker is going to supervise you do that. So for me, we can pass it to the formal system. A health center goes to collect their medication. They call people, they train them, and they supervise them, administer the medication, the treatment. And then you bring back your returns to them, and then they send it to the appropriate place for refund. So it can be self-financing. The most important is the preventive part. The cleaning, the going for health check, and then maybe avoiding disease in general.
Doctor, one thing which I find amazing, you see today the stats point out that those who are uneducated and in the rural areas are the ones who are falling victim. However, in those days when there were no schools, so they were not in schools and everything, they were more not falling victims. So what's happening now that makes the same group? Because back in the day, the same girl would not have been to school, he was living in the same rural area but wasn't falling victim. Now that there's a bit of school, okay, maybe she's not in school, but she's now falling victim. So what's this?
But the study did not say that.
No.
Now we are getting the figures. In the past, we're not getting the figures. Now, wherever you are, we know where you are. And every pregnancy is recorded because you go to the clinic, we know you. So now we got the figures right and we're able to strike out the percentage. In the past, maybe not. In the past, it's also possible that because of the cultural things like a bragro and so forth, you're actually being monitored. And it's a shame to become pregnant. And a lot of people are made outcasts for doing those kind of things. I mean, there's like a taboo, family taboo. So the communities are very responsible. They're making sure that you actually do not become pregnant. And they support you. But now that the society, the family system is getting broken. And because of that, now people, I mean, mixed society, people from west, east, north, all come to congregate in a particular place. They come with different ideas, people from outside the country. And so it's difficult to keep that kind of hold on the child. So I think it can be both ways. But all we need to get the research to be able to tell us the dynamics, so that then we'll be able to solve the problem.
Well, thank you so much, and I just hope that listeners, especially parents, are listening. That at every given time you must know where your ward is, at least, and know that they are in a safe place and they are coming home at a reasonable hour, because statistics as a nation, I think, is an indictment on all of us. Dr. Ebenezer Apiadentra, Director General for Ghana Health, thank you very much. And as I always say, tomorrow we'll be back to do it all over again. Thanks for watching.